Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Diversion Authority Finance Committee for April 22nd. A couple of announcements to make. Mayor Mahoney is with us, but he's virtual today. And we'd like to welcome Clay County Commissioner Dave Ebinger is representing Lori Johnson today. With that, we call the meeting to order. Don, would you please read the call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mayor Mahoney. Mayor Carlson. Here. Mr. Steen.
Here.
Ms. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Ebinger.
Here.
Mr. Redlinger.
Here.
Mr. Grimberg.
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn. Here. Mr. Capitan.
Here.
Mr. Reitz.
Here.
And Ms. Heinley.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Don. Next order of business is to approve the minutes of March 25th. It's on page 3 of the packet. They have been distributed.
Move to approve.
Commissioner, thank you, Mayor.
Second.
Carlson and Mr. Steen, who seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 25th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is to approve the order of the agenda. Again, it has been distributed and in the packet.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented for April 22nd, 2026. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of bills. We call on Susan Thompson, Finance Director, the City of Fargo. It's on page 8 of the packet. Susan.
Thank you. Before you are a list of bills to be approved. They are through April 14th. There's 12 of them, and they total $3,181,534.36.
As of what date again, please?
April 14th. Did I say that incorrectly? Sorry.
Any questions for Susan? Anyone?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve the bills for, as presented, for $3,181,534.36. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the bills as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney. Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Ebinger.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Yes.
Mr. Capitan.
Yes.
Mr. Reitz.
Yes.
And Ms. Heinley.
Yes.
What is everyone?
Motion passes. Item 5 is the finance report. Again, we call on Susan Thompson. It's on page 24 of the packet.
If the report starts on page 24, that represents the revenues and expenditures. That shows historic and year-to-date 2026. The next page, page 25, is the statement of net position. That lists the cash for all 3 funds that we're monitoring. Total assets, $257,772,344. Liabilities are $306,481. So the net position for all 3 funds as of March 31st is $257,465,863. And then the little box on the corner is tracking our cash. And as you can see, I don't believe we've paid any developer payments since March, so that is just an accumulation of taxes coming in. Thank you.
Any questions for Susan? Anyone? This is an actionable item.
Move to approve?
We have a motion
Second.
to approve and then a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the finance report as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Susan. Number 6, cash budget report. We call on Jason Benson, our executive director. It's on page 55 of the packet. Good afternoon and welcome, Jason.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and board members. When we look at our funding status, the top 2, sales tax, slightly behind, long-term projections. I think the next big one, I know John will be giving an update on WIFIA draws later in the meeting here, but we did have that 47 million hit our books, but we are looking, we're a little bit behind where we initially thought, just as they're getting into spring and getting back out in the field, finishing some of the projects that were near completion last fall. So we expect to see a lot of that getting submitted for completions and for payment from the P3 contractor. So we'll start drawing some more on that. And then the temporary sales tax bonds, we do expect that we'll be taking that out later in May, maybe early June. John's been watching the bond market and what the rates are. Obviously, with what's going on in the world environment right now, we want to make sure that we're taking out those bonds at the best rates possible. And then when we look at the level one summary for our expenditures, as I mentioned, the milestone payments for the developer, a little bit behind where we thought they would be getting into the year. That 719 million, we'll be getting a lot of that over the next 2 to 3 months as they get all these projects cleaned up. You may have seen in the paper that I-94, they're doing some work there, grinding down some of the concrete to get it to the smooth standards that are expected. So they've got a few other of those types of cleanup work on between bridges and different channel components that we'll be seeing a lot of payments coming in over the next couple months, so that the actual cost will start going up and remaining will go down there. And then same thing, our 37-foot construction projects at 17 million. A lot of those projects are just getting kicked off here this spring. So throughout the course of the summer, a lot of that work will be getting paid for. Outside of that, everything else is really on target and on budget for where we're at in the year. If anyone's got any questions, I'm open to that.
Questions for Jason?
Just had one question, Jason. So obviously we're somewhat behind on our expenditures, like quite a bit behind. We're almost, a third through the year. We've got less than 10% spent. When do you expect the cascade of invoice? I'm just curious, is this August? Is it October? I mean, I'm just curious what that might be.
I think we'll see things picking up in June, but July, August, September, we're going to really, I think that's going to be where everything's really going to start coming in. Again, as they're getting out in the field now and finishing up work that was done, as they were getting into winter in that October, November, early December timeframe, and they shut down work that was nearly complete, or like the interstate bridges and a number of county road bridges, they got them open for traffic, but they still have some cleanup work and some finishing to do. We expect that we'll be getting those ICs processed over the next several months and then actioned for payment. So, but again, probably we'll start to see the snowball in June, but July, August, I think was when we'll really get hit.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Benson? All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
This item is for information only. We move on to item number 7, which is Diversion Authority Board approval contracting actions. We're going to call on Chris Bachgard, Engineering. Starts on page 62, ends on page 76. Mr. Bachgard.
Thank you, Chair Dardis, members of the Finance Committee. We have 5 items for your consideration today. The first 2 are MSA extensions. The last 3 are construction related, so I'll give a quick high-level view of those, and then we can deal with questions and/or order of handling each topic. The first one's a master service agreement extension for A2S. This really just is done to line up their task orders with their MSA. If you remember, we recommended approval of a task order last month. This is a cleanup to get our MSA now aligned with the task order that came through last month. So no cost implications here, just really a very simple update of more or less changing dates and just updating things to current. in that one. Similar with the Horizon Real Estate Group. This is the group that's assisting us with the Horace elevator sale. Again, no cost implications here. They're on a typical real estate contract. It'll be a commission upon sale. None of those details change. We just extended that period of record as we unfortunately have not found a buyer yet for the Horace elevator. So that one's a pretty straightforward one as well. Maybe stop there if there's any questions on those two MSAs. Those are, again, I think pretty simple ones, but just make sure there aren't any questions on that before I go on with our construction projects.
Any questions?
All right. The third item on the list is a closeout balancing change order for the construction of the new Minn Kota substation. So this one, we did have a couple of items that overran slightly on there. I can give you a quick highlight of a few items on there. They had to do the lot they ended up picking had some floodplain implications, so they had to do a little bit of regrading, site grading, a little bit more work than they anticipated on that. Just some general cost increases that they didn't anticipate on some of the equipment in the station itself. All totaled, we had, in the number on there, about $227,228.47, which brought our grand total for that project to $3.6 million. So again, a relatively small change order. It was a large project, but they did have a couple of items to balance that project out. So this is a closeout of that task order 8. And again, we're getting that station up online, and then next for them, they'll retire the existing substation on that as well. The last two are the same project. This is the Casserole Water Ring Levee project, work package 47F. By state law, there was enough electrical work on this project that we had to break out and do separate electrical bids. So we did end up with an electrical contractor that was different than the prime construction contracts. So we are recommending awards to 2 separate construction companies today. The top one is for the general construction work for building the levee and doing other work around the project. That we ended up getting 3 bids for that work. Again, the low bid was from R.J. Zavarol and Sons. We had a good line of bids, good pricing. Again, just a little bit under the engineer's estimate on this. So again, we're recommending award to R.J. Zavarol and Sons in the amount of $6,515,000, $515,835.10 for the general construction. And then for the electrical work, we also received 3 bids on that. Again, a real good bid from FM Electric on the electrical part of that. So again, we're recommending a separate award to FM Electric for the Casserole Water site in the amount of $722,273. So with that, I can stand for any questions related to our construction-related contracts for this month.
Any questions for Chris? Right. Thank you. At the Finance Committee's discretion, we'll do these individually or as a group. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I would just propose to move to approve items 7A, B, C, D, and E.
A motion to approve 7A, B, C, D, and E. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Anyone? Hearing none. Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney. Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Emminger.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
Mr. Reitz.
Yes.
And Ms. Einley.
Yes.
Yeah, that is everyone.
Motion passes. We're on item number 8, other business. First order of business is a discussion that John Shockley's going to lead us in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. Before the committee is the amendment number 2 to the project partnership agreement. You will recall the project partnership agreement is between the Corps of Engineers and the non-federal sponsors. A unique aspect of our PPA is that any of the federal funds that remain unused after construction is completed are sent over to the non-federal sponsors. Under the existing PPA, that would not occur until final completion of the project, and that's all administrative closeouts by the Corps, which could be 2030. Through negotiations with the Corps leadership and the Corps in St. Paul, the Corps has agreed that we can access some of those funds early. And so PPA Amendment Number 2 allows the non-federal sponsors to access the unused non-federal funds early. This first payment is not the total amount that will finally be due. There'll be from the Corps over the next course of years as the project reaches completion. Every year, the Corps will meet and determine with the authority what amounts of unused funds remain, and then those funds would be returned to the authority. Happy to answer any questions. This is the product of a lot of work going back and forth to DC, and I think a great result. I would note that our PPA is unique in the nation and that it has this provision. So,
Questions for Mr. Shockley?
I would move to approve.
I have a motion to approve item 8A, the project partnership agreement, as outlined by Mr. Shockley. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Susan Thompson. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney. Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Emminger.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
Mr. Reese.
Yes.
And Ms. Einley.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Motion passes. We are now on item 8B, a resolution authorizing the Metro Flood Diversion Authority to match 50/50 on all funds received from the state of Minnesota. That's on page 93 of the packet, and we call on both Jason and John for this report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So when we look at the last 2 years as we've gone forward with our requests to the state of Minnesota, we've been challenged to get money out of their bonding bill. We're continuing to work very closely with the legislature, and with the ability to get this new influx of $100 million in federal funding. I've had some different discussions, and we did talk about this at our planning committee as well. Being able to use as a match up to $32 million on a one-to-one match with any funding that we would get out of the Minnesota legislature this year during the legislative session. I was down in St. Paul last week. I was able to testify at the Senate Capital Investments Committee, and did take a question from Senator Pappas, who's the chair, regarding the changes in flooding that we've had and how dramatic those are, and the fact that in the last 30 years, from 1997 on, we've had 7 of our top 10 floods. When we look at the 130-year record of flood records that we've got. So, the Senate, we're getting some good feelings there that we might be able to get some money. They're looking at probably a $1 to $1.2 billion bonding bill this year, depending on who you talk to. So it's still up in the air. But again, the request is for really the 2 key things are at the bottom of page 1, at the end of the therefore be it resolved. Number 1, to approve the 50/50 match, and then number 2, to authorize me to make those requests and have discussions with this as I'm down in St. Paul, working with the legislature and as well as the lobbyists and staff and elected officials from the city of Moorhead, Clay County, and the Buffalo Red watershed, and the Fargo-Moorhead Chamber of Commerce. So I think all of those entities have really gone all in this year to support our lobbying efforts and be down in St. Paul as much as possible to try to get this funding. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions for Mr. Benson? Anyone? All right. Again, this is an actionable item. Committee members?
I move for approval.
I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the Metro Flood Diversion Authority to match 50/50 with any funds received from the state of Minnesota. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Excuse me. Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Ebinger.
Yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Ms. Ainley.
Yes.
Is everyone?
Motion passes. Thank you, Don. We are now on 8C, WIFIA update. Mr. Shockley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. You will have heard earlier that we still have only made one draw on the WIFIA loan. That was for approximately $47.5 million. Just as a reminder, the total loan value that can be drawn is $569 million. So we have a little over $500 million left to draw for the remainder of the year. Just a little bit of background, that loan is at 2.08% interest, so very favorable interest period for a 40-year term. We continue to work with our federal partners about changes to the Army Corps of Engineers WIFIA loan program. You'll recall that there may be a small tranche of debt at the end of the project that we need to take out. We're working to advance changes to the Army Corps of Engineers WIFIA loan program to see if we can access that for long-term debt, which would also be at a very low interest rate. So continue to update on that, how that process advances. So happy to answer any questions about the WIFIA loan. But
Any questions regarding the WIFIA loan for Mr. Shockley? Thank you, John. We now move on to 8D, which is a subordinated sales tax bond update. Again, we call on Mr. Shockley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Finance Committee. I've been working through the subordinated sales tax bond. This would be a temporary bond issue to help cover any cash flow for the remainder of the year. And as we start to finalize all of the project costs, and once we have fidelity regarding contingency fees, final costs, we would know how much long-term debt would need to be flipped over into whatever that final debt instrument looks like. We had originally envisioned selling the debt this month for the subordinated sales tax bond, but as Executive Director Benson had noted, world events have kind of caused some of the interest rates to spike. Given that we don't need the cash immediately, thought it would be prudent to wait another month to 60 days to see what happens with the interest rate environment. I would anticipate that we'll be bringing forward the bond resolution either in May or June, and that will probably include what's referred to as a parameters resolution. Parameters resolution sets the top of what the interest rate would be and the terms that the staff would be allowed to move forward with. And that would give us some flexibility if the markets continue to be a challenging rate environment right now. Every day seems to fluctuate a little bit one way or another. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shockley? Anyone? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That concludes our business for the day. Is there any non-agenda items that any of the Finance Committee members would like to bring forward at this time? Any of our staff have anything? Our next meeting will be May 27th. With that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.